Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of RE205, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Muscles and Machines and Material Arts, Oh My, written by Hetardo. As a preface, I study biokinetics and physiology in the Collective University of Zeliganon. The differences in each species' bodily design, and how it fills out the basic universal principles of signals, thoughts, muscles, consumptions, always interested me. Each race, while having the same needs, grows up on a very different planet and interacts with the environment pressures differently. It was also the first time I got to experience the awe of seeing a human for the first time. To be honest, they always interested me a great deal. Not just them being omnivores, willing to consume everything up to rocks and dirt, including living raw flesh, but the fact they come from a planet with so many pressures. High gravity, fierce competition, high environmental variation, often hostile elements. When you get something that can not only live in that, but develop the capacity for high abstract thought and leash such a formidable planet to their will, it's very impressive beast indeed. They were, at the time, pretty new to the fold, so to speak, so they weren't very common to see. The human I met was called Thomas. He was an interesting person. Turns out, humans were built around a dense series of layered ratcheted ladder filament muscles, acting on a heavy endoskeleton, controlled by specialized cells that carry an extremely rapid charge polarity, and can make conformation changes to the synapses where they join. Highly fast, highly powerful transmissions, and highly versatile. When not in combat situations, they're remarkably more sensitive to stimuli than any other species I know. Their entire thought process, unlike practically every other species, operates over top the combat responses. Where other species have to put themselves up to the task of fighting or running, humans naturally slip down into it. It's a stunning indicator of the brutality of their planet, that they evolved to so easily strip all thoughts but fight or flight from themselves at an instant. Not to mention how it practically changes everything the body does as well, physically and physiologically. The effects even boils over into restful situations. They naturally flinch or turn to face noise out of nature. But even then, when undisturbed, I got the feeling, at least from Thomas, that he subconsciously assessed everything for danger and what he could and could not fight and kill. Probably not a lot he couldn't fight or kill. He was a pretty big specimen, even for a human. However, I would get a true display of human physiology later on, when the university was raided. Zodiac's mechanized pirates, absolutely towering, fast, and cruel. They found a most sinister delight in tormenting the students, for although there were only 3 of them, they were practically invincible. Thomas, though, he didn't really care for them. I watched as he jumped from the first story of the central library, swinging a pole clean down onto one of them. I now know he tried to incapacitate it by hitting it on its shoulder, but the force crushed the section of the mech, not designed to take kinetic force like that, which crushed and maimed the occupant's right shoulder. They deserved it. The second bounded over, firing its concussive blaster. Thomas didn't care about that either. They got within striking range, and as the pirate threw a mechanical fist out, Thomas, in a blur of motion, slammed a leg out and brought up an arm to block. The kick slammed into the barrel chest of the pirate hard and picked the large mechanical fighter off the ground for an instant. It left a notable dent in the material. But the delay had given the third pirate time to sneak up behind him and seized his arms in immovable grip. Humans are strong, but a large creature, driven by pistons, motors, and steel, will be stronger. The second, now free from harm, took its time rising to its feet before walking over to Thomas and proceeded to lay mechanized blow after blow into him. I could see the strain on Thomas's face. His skin was red from high blood pressure. His muscles and tendons were raised and bulging wherever I could see them, and his face was twisted into a snarl I found myself struggling to look upon and stay calm. I knew the rough math. Sure, he didn't have an exoskeleton to crack, or a pressure fluid system to burst beyond that of his blood vessels and lymphatics, but those blows were mechanically aided and powerful enough to tear me in half. They rained blow after blow after blow down on the smaller human for roughly 30 seconds, before finally stumbling back. Exhausted, too much effort expended, the bane of all physical combat. I thought Thomas would be dead, his red human ichor poured from cuts and rents in his body and from his general orifices, mixing with his sweat, a most curious form of heat diffusion, and minor wound antiseptic for the salt it carried in it. I expected a bloody meat bag of broken bones, abused meat, and a sad stink of absolutely destroying a complex and beautiful creature. I did not expect Thomas to spit some more blood, then look up and grunt, "Are you done?" I had to go back over cameras to accurately piece together the next series of events. First, he rolls his wrists in. While doing that, he basically slams back into the pirate holding him from behind, sending it off balance. While it seemingly is distracted, he manages to pull his hands free from the grip. Spinning to his left, he lets his left arm shove the pirate back, while his right loops under its own left arm. His fingers touched, and suddenly he's pulling this mechanized pirate around himself before slamming its face into the floor. I had to go over it in slow motion to follow. I'm amazed that Thomas was doing this almost instantly, out of instinct. Suddenly, he wraps a leg around the limb and sits on the back of the pirate. He's pulling the arm further and further back until metal snaps. Things shatter and pop, and the pirate starts crying out in pain. Thomas releases the now dislocated and torn joint and gets back to the last pirate. Nothing fancy. He just runs at the last one. It tries to run away, but he catches it in a grappling thrust that is called a tackle and slammed it into the ground before crawling on it and sitting up, face red and twisted. And then he starts raining blows down on it. Part of my brain laughs at the strange creature that thinks to beat technology with its flesh. Another part of me goes to cry out to stop Thomas from hurting his hands. Both go unneeded, as I notice that the steel is slowly buckling inward. He's mixing elbows, palms, and other strikes into his punching now. The third and final pirate has gone from confidence to resistance to pleading and begging for his life. He couldn't breathe with how the suit had been beaten inwards. Treatment had been extensive. Thomas had numerous lacerations, 5 cracked ribs, 3 broken facial bones, numerous hairline fractures in the fists and feet and elbows, majorly torn skin and internal bleeding. The pirates had been lucky to be alive. 2 had nearly been crushed, and 1 had been badly thrown about. Likely, none of them would have been able to breathe easily. I asked Thomas, quite reasonably, how in the stars he did that. Turns out, he was something of a martial artist. Because, of course, the humans have dedicated teachings on how to be even more violent and dangerous. I clarified, though. I could deduce the combat aspect. I wanted to know how he could take being beaten by a 2.5-meter mechanical beast for so long and not care. His answer, martial arts again, specifically body hardening. Turns out, at some point, some human developed a way to deal with blows taken. Apparently, the rough principle of it was clench and control every muscle in your body, keep focus, control breath, and deal with the pain. It made no sense to me. He could not deny the laws of physics, and the laws of physics said he took those blows. He made no effort to deny it either, but still stressed that there was benefit to it. Even he, though, struggled to state what such benefit originated from. My working theory: either muscles, when clenched, deal with force better over the whole, or the simple readiness robs the blows of the psychological effectiveness. I don't know enough information to confirm either hypothesis. What I do know is that Thomas had a popular request to starting up a class where he teaches some of the martial arts he knows, and that I'll certainly be attending. It'll be run by him, but mostly taught by his pairmate, who, according to him, is vastly superior martial artist. He won't stop talking about how attractive she is, or about how he loves her so much, and that she's so fun. I dread to meet her. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.